You're listening to The Baub Show, exclusively on ubnradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to The Baub Show. I'm your host, Bob Merrick. My co-host today, the lovely Heather Stewart.
Hi.
And so happy to have her today. Actress, producer, Emmy winner, Christina Applegate is with us today, and I'm so happy about this. So I know that we went down a little bit of a dark path, but there's something that you are the reason that you don't even know that I discovered about 10 years ago when we first met a totally different part of my life and my spirituality, and that was because of you and Agape. And through that, and it was our friend Bill Kendall who also took me there, that I discovered Marianne Williamson for the very first time. And so I have you to thank for all of that because, you know, like we were just talking about before the break when we were talking about, you know, healing and how you kind of get through life. Like I've learned so much by being part of that community, and there have been so many life-changing experiences that I've had. And it's crazy because I've never actually seen you there. But
I know.
but
it's funny. I haven't gone in so like we will go sporadically because of my daughter. It's really hard to get her there at certain times, and she was like, you know, tied to a nap thing. But now that her nap is over, Martine and I were like, okay, that's it. We have to get back to going on a regular basis. So I used to be there like 3 times a week. You don't understand.
Yeah.
Like I was taking classes and going Wednesday nights and going Sunday. But it's been hard with the kid. But
how did you find it? How did you find it?
I was raised in religious science. So when I was about 7 or 8, when my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, a friend of hers introduced her to someone who was at the Hollywood Church of Religious Science, which is used to be on Sunset or still is there. I'm not really sure. And so she started going to that church. And then when she, I can't remember. I had a dream one night about. Oh no, this is exactly how it happened. I just remembered. Oh my God. So we were at our church, my mom and I. And this is now the second battle of cancer my mom's had. This is when she had ovarian cancer. And we were sitting there watching our minister, Dominic, great, you know, tiny little church. Mm-hmm. And he goes, we have a visiting minister today. And from the musical church, Agape, you know, please welcome Reverend Michael. And he was standing behind me, and all he did was
Michael Bernard Beckwith.
Yes. Yeah. He stood up. Everyone applauded. I didn't even look back. But when we left, for days, I kept saying to my mom, I can't stop thinking about that man, and I don't even know what he looks like. I don't know what his church is about. And she goes, that's so weird. I was bringing this to you today. And it was a picture of Ricky Byers Beckwith,
his wife,
conducting the choir, and it was a whole story about Agape. And I got like chills up and down my spine, and I was like, I have to go. This is like it. I have to go there. So I remember my mom was in the hospital. She had another surgery, and it was Easter Sunday. And I went, and I was standing in the hallway before the next service, and I could hear them singing the songs, and I started crying. And I realized I was home. And I went in, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that's Reverend Michael. There he is. And he was so amazing and so truth-telling about, you know, what he knows. And that was it. I never turned back.
It's a completely beautiful experience. My favorite thing is it's always... I never have a good time with any kind of conformed religion, and especially when they start, you know, a lot of it, they want to stand up there and talk about Jesus and what Jesus did and then try to give you a metaphor for how it's supposed to. And I'm not saying it's bad. I know everybody has their own thing, but it's always sort of like, almost like out of guilt, like because all this bad stuff happened, you got to go out and try to do better in the world. But what Michael does and what Agape does is he stands up there, and it's not about what happened 7 million years ago. What's happening right now in your life? What are you doing to go out and make the world a better place? How much
what choices
love
are you making?
Yeah, how much love is in your heart? How much, and all of that stuff. And it's been so amazing. And it's interesting that you say that was your story with it, because my experience. Bill Kendall, who I met also with you that weekend at Sundance, he and I hit it off, became very, very close friends. And he's like, you got to go to Agape. And so and it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's a Sunday morning. And, you know, you have that kind of attitude. And I was late because I was coming from the Valley, and it's over in Culver City. I walked in. I had never heard of Marianne Williamson before. I walked in the door, and she's reading from her book. Literally, this is totally perfect for this show that we're already having. She's reading from her book, and I walk in, and like it's like everybody's focused on her. The place is packed, and she says, "It's like the time I took my daughter to a Bette Midler concert." That is exactly the passage that I'm telling you, I walked in the room. Those were the first words out of her mouth. And just like you said, it was like...
You're like, I am home.
Yes! No, but it was like being hit with it because your idea of what religious and stuff is like you're going to walk in and you're going to be hearing about, Jesus and the cross and the prophecy.
He died for you.
And instead she was giving this amazing life lesson through what Bette Midler in the 70s versus Bette Midler. And I was like, is this really happening? Like, have I really found a church that's talking about Bette Midler?
Yeah.
But and in that moment, I mean, Marianne Williamson has completely changed my life. But it's just amazing. But it was because of that. All my receptors were wide open to hearing the experience versus if I had gone in, I was very closed off prior to opening that door. And so it's just amazing because it's completely transformed my life, and I just love it.
It's a nice place.
Ishmael Tete, I know him.
Yep.
We love him. He's
great.
good.
You have to really focus in on like a linear level to understand what he's saying, but
I know that's what a lot of people have said.
Like I'm like Ishmael, I don't know what you're saying.
I might get it later.
But then I found like you find this like little zone where you kind of get like almost meditative to like his sound, and then I started like picking out words, and I was like, oh great, he's fabulous.
Yeah, totally.
Although
totally
I mean, Reverend Michael is he's my man.
I was really bummed. I was out of town when you did the talk with him. It was like an evening with him and you, and you were pregnant.
I was very pregnant.
Yeah, I was very, very, very bummed. I mean, so talk about pregnant, being a mom.
Being a mom.
How's that changed you?
Fabulous. She got up at 6:30 today.
Oh boy.
I feel like
there is that.
She wouldn't let me change her diaper for 15 minutes.
How old is she?
She'll be 3 next month.
3. Okay.
But other than her other than that, she's
post the cutest videos of her. I feel like a little stalker because I'm always watching all the videos and stuff that you post of her, but she's so gosh dang cute.
Yeah, she's a cutie patootie.
Yeah.
But one of the things I also want to talk about in relation to her is I love how vocal you have been lately about the paparazzi.
Yeah.
And their inability to have respect. What do you think is the line that needs to be drawn? Like, where is the happy medium? Because we all know that paparazzi is not going to go away. We know that it's part of our culture. Where's the happy medium, though, that...
There shouldn't be a happy medium. It should be completely illegal to take pictures of people's children.
Well, that part for sure. But I'm talking about...
It should be illegal to take pictures of you, period. It should be illegal to get off a plane at LAX when you have been on a press tour and have 20 flashbulbs in not only your eyes, your child's eyes. This happened the other night. My daughter was screaming because she couldn't see. I couldn't see. I mean,
and it's
why
scary.
is that okay?
And it is
You're
scary.
scaring a little tiny person who doesn't understand why these people are attacking.
It's abusive.
And people don't realize they're screaming mean things at you. They're literally they're not. I think the public's perception is that they're just standing there with a bunch of cameras
they're
taking
actually
pictures.
The most arrogant, rude fuckers. I mean, I cannot believe their attitude and their this sense of like, I deserve to be doing this and laughing at you if something happens. And this, I got really angry that LAX because at one point I couldn't see. They had blinded me so much that I couldn't walk anymore. And I just started screaming at them like, you need to stop. I can't walk. I can't see. And they started laughing.
That. Yeah, they want that.
They started laughing at me.
And then TMZ interviewed you.
You know what? My kid's, screaming.
Yeah.
I can't. You're blinding me. Why is this okay? So luckily in January, a lot of us ladies put our names in for Halle Berry and Jennifer Garner got this law passed that if you are harassing or stalking a kid, you will get jail time or like a $25,000 fine. I'm paraphrasing all of the rules on it because it's early in the morning. Yeah. But at that point, you can no longer harass people's kids. I'm really happy about that.
I went on a rant just a couple weeks ago because I watched what happened to Elton John one night. Elton John was going to a restaurant, gets out of the car, and there was a sea of paparazzi there, and they're all taking pictures of him, and he trips because they're literally in his way. They're blocking the entrance.
Sure.
I think people have, because I'm talking to Middle America here, everyone's vision, I think, is when they show in a movie the red carpet and the
it's perfect and everybody's polite and wonderful.
And the photographers are behind the red rope and everything is there. It's like,
Sure.
no, these people are literally, they were blocking the door.
Invasive.
And what killed me was then the headline was basically Elton John's an asshole, because Elton John tells them to fuck off. Because he literally, they're blocking him. He can't see everything that you're talking about. He can't see. He trips. So he almost trips, and Elton John is not a young man. Yeah. So if he had actually tripped and fallen and like broken a hip, he could have been in serious trouble. But so then he starts telling them to fuck off, and now the headline is Elton John tells us to fuck off, and then the rest of the article starts to talk about how Elton John is the asshole.
Yeah.
The whole article talks about
it's
how
not
Elton
them.
John is the asshole. Yeah.
I wish people could see, when you pick up one of those magazines and you start going like, oh, this is look at that one. On the other side of that person's being tortured, and stalked and screamed at, and no one sees that part. You just see the celebrity like making a weird face or looking angry, or God forbid, in their bathing suit, not looking like a perfect 10 model.
God, right.
Yeah.
Where you're being stalked on your vacation, where they're hiding in the bushes when you're trying to have family time. You know
and then
what I mean?
the person goes,
So
that person's a dick or a bitch. Like, and you're like,
you know what?
I'm trying to have some
I swear to God, I think a band of us should get together and just start stalking them with cameras and going up to their children at their school and taking pictures
somebody
of them.
do that?
I don't know, but
that would be a fantastic idea.
Like, find out who they are,
Yep.
and just follow
and
them
start
home.
taking, I
thought
just
it was-
follow them home.
And follow their kids
Up to their
school
door.
and just take pictures of their children all day long.
But screaming, but you have to scream at them.
Scream
Like,
at
that's-
them.
that's-
Obscenities and whatnot. Yeah,
that's the part that's always. I mean,
Which
I've been out so many times with like Shannon Elizabeth, because they really want her to have that nasty look on her face, and it's like they scream. They scream really mean things. They scream like personal information. Like they'll be like, "What do you think of your ex-husband doing this?" Things that you would never say to a human being. And like you said, there's an arrogance because what they want your face.
Reaction.
They want your face to turn around and be like, "Fuck off!" Yeah, and so that you have that look
really
on your
interesting.
face.
I was just in London, and the paparazzi there are so polite, and they'll take a couple. If they notice that you're like this, they stop.
Really?
I'm sure a lot of people in England will disagree with me.
I know,
because I'm sure they've seen it worse. But on this particular, my experience when I was in London was that they were not like how they are here.
They queued.
They definitely, So,
well, I wonder if that's because of the whole Princess Diana thing. Like, I wonder how much that affected it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that in France, apparently it's terrible. They still follow on mopeds and like get people into accidents and all sorts, which is where Princess Diana was killed by those guys. But they were less like how these like animal like little monsters here.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sure they're all like good people. I'm sure they're good dads or whatever. I mean, I'm sure at the end of the day, these are not horrible people, but they just don't realize what they're doing to us. It's not,
Well, and like you said, there's the arrogance, and it's people need to be reminded. It's like that's not part of your job.
It's not
like
my job requirement.
Your
I'm not
job.
getting paid to be harassed at all.
I think though they must justify it or rationalize it. Like, well, you're a star, so you have to deal with this.
Asked for it.
Yes, you somehow.
They completely do, which I don't understand.
Like, I went through a whole career for 15 years when we didn't have paparazzi or rag mags, and you could just live and do what you needed to do and come out of places really late at night and no one got pictures of you. I mean, it was great. It was like, I wish that the kids now, these younger, actors could experience that kind of freedom in life and to just be who, you wanted to be, instead of it always being on the, the national playing field.
Yeah, it's too much. When it's funny, and going back to Anchorman 2, that's one of the things I actually loved about Anchorman 2. Even though the movie is kind of a farce and, it's hilarious, it also kind of exposes the reality of 24-hour news and how, let's be honest, in order to have 24-hour news, you got to start making stuff up, or you got to start
have
really
any news.
or you got to start digging for stuff, or else you don't have a channel. And that's a lot of what Anchorman 2 is about.
Well, yeah, I mean that's that's intentional, obviously.
Well,
to-
for
I mean,
that
it's
for
really
that part
to,
of it,
like,
but how it echoes back to the reality, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I guess that kind of when Ron
And we all
Burgundy
find
says
it
it's a
so-
joke, yeah,
we all find it so normal.
yeah, which
You
is
know?
which is terrifying.
Well, I find even with my nieces and nephews, like them, everything is just documented. Like
Yeah.
everything. Like even with your daughter, like how do you keep with you go to Thanksgiving or something and they're just like on their phones.
Yeah.
They don't even
I know.
like
Yeah,
hi.
they're not interacting.
We're people chatting with each other and enjoying each other's
we all
company.
find ourselves doing it. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm guilty of it too.
I asked my husband, and the honey, I love you, but I asked him a question this morning, and all he did was repeat the question back to me, and then never said another word. And I was just staring at him like, "Really, guy?" Because he was just on here. I said, I asked him like, "Have you ever had a weird like cramp in or whatever the question was?" And he goes, "Have I ever had a weird cramp in my neck?"
Silence. Beat. My
Okie dokie. I guess I'll see you later. I'm going to go off and do this radio thing.
My husband and I were on a long road trip and we were just starting out and I play Words with Friends, and so he was talking, he's like, well, I'm working on this thing, and he was talking and I thought my phone was on silent and it went boop, 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 boop. And he goes, are you playing Words with Friends? And I was like, no. I'm totally listening to what you're saying. It's super interesting.
Your deep thing.
Yeah.
Well, I know we only have a couple minutes left with you, and everybody always wants to hear about, and nobody talks to you about it, so I'm going to do it. When's the last time you watched Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead?
Yay!
How funny. I had only seen it I don't even think I watched it at the premiere or screening. So I had never really seen it until recently, and it was on, and I was like, I'm going to watch it.
You hadn't seen it in all of these years?
No.
That is so funny.
I'm not one to like watch myself. It's not my favorite thing to do. Because I'm super critical. So, but I watched it and I was like, oh wow, that my hair is really, really bad in this. My eyebrows are so unkempt. See, this is why I can't watch
That's why you
movies that
can't.
I'm
That's
in.
why you can't watch
Because
it.
that's what I
Because you're
took
not
away
even
from-
listening to what you're
No,
saying.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh man.
But
Why didn't anyone get a tweezer towards me? Jeez.
But you can't. So you can't go. But do you not go back in time to like remember how fun that experience was?
It
or-
was really fun, and
I'm very good friends with Jane Brooke, who was your nemesis
Oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
movie.
yeah. She's great, and I mean, and David Duchovny and I actually bonded pretty heavily on that one. So we were pretty good buds when we were doing that. And then now he's David Duchovny.
Yeah.
The kids were great. Unfortunately we lost one of them, Christopher Pettit, who was a wonderful kid, passed away just a few years ago. But it was, it's a quotable one too. People
Well, that's what I mean. People
that
quote it
movie
all
to
the
me
time.
all the time.
But it means nothing to you if you don't watch it.
No, but
It's like
actually,
this, what is that from? It's really
I have seen it.
I'll
Like
get right
over
on
the
it.
years, I've seen it a couple of times. I have. I know that there's like the dishes are done, man, and that comes out of it, and I'm right on top of that rose.
I'm right on top of that rose,
People say
yeah.
that
Yeah.
to me at least once a week. I get someone saying that to me.
That's
Which is-
fantastic.
And isn't that funny that because you have an incredible career when you look at everything that you've done and you've had so many iconic roles, especially Married with Children is another one too. But isn't it funny that Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead is like sort of what people come back to? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're not walking up quoting Kelly Bundy.
No, they
No.
don't. They that one and Anchorman, and that's it. I get that all the time.
And do you think that'll be your legacy?
I think so, probably.
It could be worse.
I don't know.
I'm-
I hope I stick around a lot longer to have more moments.
I think you will. What else do you have on the horizon?
Nada.
Nana?
A whole bunch of nada. I took a year off. I'm taking a year off to just be a stay-at-home mom, and that's what I've been doing. I'm probably going to start going a little stir crazy soon, but probably in the next year I'll look for something. Next year.
Which will be great. A lot of people don't know that I helped you get on Twitter, and
Yes, you did.
I remember you being on Ellen when you first got on Twitter, and I remember thinking, "Oh, I wonder if she's going to tell it," and she didn't. But
I did. I'm so sorry.
no, but it was funny because you got on Twitter, and I don't know how it happened, but somehow I must have been the first person to respond to you because you were trying to save Samantha Who,
Yes.
and you're like, "What is this Twitter thing? I'm going to get on this Twitter
Yeah.
thing," and then but you and I started going back and forth, and I'm like, how do I know you're really you?
Yeah, right.
I know.
Do you
You
have the
did
check
ask me,
mark
and
by
I
your
was like,
name?
And I'm
I
like,
know.
I'm like, how did we meet?
Yeah.
It was. Thank you for that, by the way, for helping me navigate through that world of cyber, whatever
Whatever.
that is. Because I'm.
But
I'm,
you do
I'm a
very
total
well with
dork.
it now.
But I mean, I was the last person to get a computer. Really, and I was like, how does this work? This is amazing. I was one of the last people to get a cell phone when it was all happening. So I'm pretty behind.
Well, you do very good now. I
Thank
love
you.
following you on Twitter, and I love.
Thank you.
And I love everything. I just love everything you do. I love when you're on So You Think You Can Dance.
Thank you.
That always makes me so happy.
That makes
I
me
have to
happy
tell you,
too.
my friends and I have a thing where if we get sick or performing or whatever, I'm like, Christina Applegate performed with a broken foot. If she can do that.
It's so funny.
Is it true that you can't ever dance again, or that you just can't do a show like that?
I don't know if I could dance again. I had when I was pregnant, my back. I had an injury there anyway that didn't really take me out of the game for anything. But when I was pregnant, it exacerbated it. So dancing may not be in the cards for me. I'm gonna try and see, because I miss it so much.
Yeah.
But it's been so long now that since I haven't danced, that my body doesn't even know how to do these things anymore. I mean, when I point my toe, I get a cramp all the way up to my knee. So it's going to take a lot of time to maybe get me back to that. Sadly, it was my life for a long time.
Well, and I just had a flash, and then we'll let you go. But because I just remembered, I totally forgot, even though I talked about it a couple weeks ago. Us at Sundance, and you and I. Do you remember you and I started having our private dance off?
Yep.
That we took. I don't know how it happened. That was the thing.
And I said to you, I dare you to come with me and start the electric slide in this really kind of fancy party.
It was Xbox's big party. Sharon
and
Stone.
I'm not going to say there was no alcohol involved in this.
No,
not at all. And so we go out there and we're like, okay, let's go. And we started doing the electric slide.
Four people on the dance floor.
That's
And I swear to God, within minutes, we turn around and there are hundreds of people behind us.
Doing the electric slide.
It ended up on CNN.
Yes.
It was on CNN because you've got I'll never forget, because Sharon Stone, Nick Carter, Paris Hilton, all these people flocked. It was like a scene out of a bad
who doesn't
movie.
want to do the electric slide?
But it was all just a joke to see, can we get people to actually do something like this at a Hollywood industry party?
And they did.
Because we were just having a dance off.
No one is immune to the electric slide.
We were just bored. Nobody.
I'm like, followers. And once we turned around and there were all those people, we ran around. And we were cracking up. We were like, I cannot believe those dorks just actually
Let's blow
followed
this
us
party.
to
It's stupid.
And then all of a sudden, because this was before the internet, but really before the internet is what it is now. And all of a sudden, the next 2 days later, I'm getting all these phone calls. People were seeing the footage on CNN.
Oh my God, I know, on CNN.
Amazing.
CNN.
They're in this party.
That's going to be on YouTube somewhere, don't you think?
Oh, let's not talk
It was so good. And I also remembered yesterday, Dance Till Dawn, but we won't bring that up.
That's okay.
I forgot how much I loved that movie when I was little. I totally forgot about it. Anyways, I love you, and I can't thank you enough for coming in and doing this, and it means the world to me. Everybody out there, go see Anchorman 2.
Yes.
If you liked the first one, my personal opinion is I think you're gonna like this one even more. It's almost like every performance is plugged into a socket. Has just a little bit more power behind everything, and I don't think anybody will be disappointed.
And like the first one, it takes it's good to see it at least 10 times
in the theater. in the theater.
In the theater.
Yeah. We don't care how many times you see it once it's on DVD.
I don't care about that. It's much better to see it with an audience.
In succession in one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you keep going out and buying a ticket.
Exactly. You have to walk back out the theater and come back in.
No, but it really is. It's hilarious. I think, and I also want to tell everybody, a lot of the stuff that's in the commercials, people are afraid that their best jokes are, how they do, and trailers give away the best commercials. A lot of stuff they're showing in the commercials isn't even in the film. There's so much footage out there. Like you were talking about earlier, I think there's just footage everywhere. Yeah. So go see the movie. You guys are not going to be disappointed. Thank you so much, Christina. And we're taking a break, and when we come back, we're going to say goodbye. Heather and I are, but don't go anywhere.